One rainy day, everything froze all around me. By Crypt 7188. So I work at a hardware store. Normally busy even when it's raining. Everyone was coming in preparing for this hurricane that was coming within the next couple of days. Buying all of the usual things you would to prepare for such an occurrence. Generators, plywood sheeting, flashlights, all things of the sort. But this day, it was almost dead in the store. We had maybe 5 orders the entire day. I work in the online order department. You go online, place the order, and we go and pick it and bring it to your car. Since this whole pandemic thing, people don't want to come in the store. Normally, before hurricanes, nothing stops people from coming inside and buying the essentials. But today there was a really big thunderstorm rolling through. The type of thunder that sounded like it was right next to you. The type that shook the store when the thunder hit, which meant no one wanted to go out during this, anyways. Once the rain and everything let up a bit, it started getting busy as it would. This is the time I was getting off of work, which was lucky for me because I had an easy day with nothing to do. But once I got outside in my car and got out to the main intersection, it started pouring down rain again, like in the blink of an eye. So, everyone cut their windshield wipers on so they could see. The rain wasn't letting up, and by the time I got to the next light, everything froze. No rain, no windshield wipers moving, nothing. Everything was at a standstill. It's not like they had just turned off their wipers. It's like when your wipers are on and you cut the car off, they can get stuck in an upright position on your windshield. And everyone's car was like that. The light stayed red for what felt like 3 minutes of no movement or anything. Then, like someone flipped a switch, everything was back to normal. Heavy rain, wipers going, the light turned green and everyone went about their day like usual. I've been trying to come up with a rational explanation for what happened on that day. And maybe some of you guys in this thread can help me figure out what I experienced. I felt death, stopped my car, and avoided an accident. By Spencer. I want to post this because I can't stop thinking about an experience I had 2 hours ago, around 12 a.m. I was driving back from a date and feeling pretty good. Was turning left onto a main street when I had this experience, which I'll try to explain. My thoughts are scattered, but I'll try my best. The light turned green, and I began turning left, when I felt death, an inch in front of me. I immediately stopped, and a second later, a drunk driver possibly, barreled past me going fast enough to shake my car from the wind. The fear of the car running a red light and almost killing me isn't why I'm posting this story. Instead, the feeling I got which made me stop was unlike any I had experienced before. I'm curious if anyone else has experienced something like this. I was relaxed and in a good mood and was going to make the same left turn I had many times before, when this wall, an ocean of warning appeared. I can liken it to the Reaper staring me in the face. This sensation wasn't that of a creature. I, of course, have had feelings of paranoia or superstition that I can ignore without harm. However, this feeling was entirely different. An inch away, I knew if I kept going, I would die. There was no doubt in my mind that there was I don't know the word to use, that would kill me. It was as if death itself, not the Grim Reaper, but the concept in a way, was right before me. I tried searching for people feeling death, but couldn't find something similar to my experience. If you try to imagine the deepest ocean, or largest vale, make it infinitely more immense, and that's what the thing before me felt like. There was obviously nothing visual, but the feeling I got was just as, or more, real than anything I could see. This expanse was only an inch in front of my face, and I stared into it for only a second before the car flew by me. The turn heads down a hill, so I'm fairly certain the car was hidden from my sight until it flew past me. I'm not sure what the purpose of this post is, but I want to share what I think might be a glitch in the Matrix, a fluke in the universe. I knew I would die with absolute certainty, and the expansive feeling of death before me was neither good nor evil, just there. This is why it's hard for me to describe it as a Grim Reaper or Psychopompus in general, because it didn't feel like an entity. Something in this universe let me know what would happen. Whether it was something peeking in from a different plane, explains the endless expanse, or a parallel universe where I didn't stop somehow clipping through, also the endless part. I'm so confused as to why I felt death so close. If there is a Grim Reaper, then my understanding of it is not as a person-shaped entity carrying a scythe, but as the idea and action of death and dying itself. For some reason, I knew that an inch ahead was where I would die, and I prevented it. I'm sorry that this is all over the place, but I'm still in shock from the ordeal. I was surprised by the car, started sweating and feeling sick. I pulled over and sat in my car shaking after the feeling set in. However, after a couple of minutes I realized I wasn't reacting to the car almost killing me. I was shaken by the realm I had just glimpsed. I don't have words to describe and can't understand what I experienced. This post is honestly probably just a way to try to process the endless yet bounded barrier of death which I somehow noticed. Maybe these barriers are everywhere, and I managed to be aware of mine, or something else entirely. All I know is I avoided death tonight. Something impossible happened. By YolandaNinja. Last night, I was sitting in my bed, not sleepy or too tired. I saw a video on YouTube and I found it weirdly funny, so I was smiling a little bit when I got my head up from the phone. Across the room, there are 4 big carpets that just got back from the cleaning place, so they are all wrapped up in plastic and placed half horizontally, like not completely lying on the ground, but almost. I saw one of them get up by itself in a fully erect position. It fucking moved and got up just like a human would. And they are heavy, like very heavy. It wouldn't be easy, like something that I could do with one hand, for me to get that huge carpet roll into that position. Now, I do not believe in ghosts, spirits, shadow people, possessed items, etc. Not in the slightest. I wish I would, so I could at least have an explanation that I genuinely believed. I wouldn't be losing my shit right now. Trying to make myself believe that I somehow slept while I was sitting down, and had that weird dream. And the carpet was like that since I put them there. But it's not helping since I'm the very person that dragged them up there. Meaning I didn't want to spend effort on putting them straight like a tower. That's why I dragged them. I don't have any logical explanation, and I'm scaring myself by overthinking about it. I would be more than happy if someone could just give me an explanation that makes sense. Edit. Oh, I forgot to say the reason why we sent it for cleaning was because of bloodstains. I came from college to stay in my mom's house during quarantine. About a month ago, my sister, 10 years old, was alone in the living room and had a really big glass of water with her. She put it on the carpet and forgot about it. A while later, she fell on it while trying to do a jumping trick, she says, and cut her leg pretty bad. She screamed in panic and I came from the kitchen, and I could see her body fat while blood gushing out of the wound. I nearly fainted, but I managed to call my mom and take a picture of the wound in case they needed it. After they went, the carpet was soaked in blood, and I literally threw up. We dealt with stitches and such, and now she is fine. So Mom decided to send most of the carpets to cleaning along with the bloody one. Thinking of that makes it even more interesting. Weird drips coming from the ceiling. By Jester with no tears. This happened a few weeks ago, but I literally just made this account and decided to post this to see if anyone's had any similar experiences. Also, I apologize for this monster read. So I'm home alone, around 6 in the evening, not quite dark out yet. I'm coming up the stairs, and as I get to the top, I see what looks almost like milk dripping from the top of my sister's room's doorway. I just sort of stand there for a minute, and the stuff keeps dropping, and then it just abruptly stops. I get a closer look and check out the top of the door frame and the carpet beneath for any trace. There's absolutely nothing. I was worried at first that a pipe had broke and was leaking. There was absolutely no sign that the liquid had ever been there in the first place. Fast forward about 10 minutes. My mother gets home and I ask her to check it out as well, telling her I think there's a leak. As she's checking, my sister gets home from work and sees us standing around her room and asks what's happening. When I tell her about the dripping, she gets this weird look, and as it turns out, she saw the exact same thing a few weeks beforehand, but didn't tell anyone because she thought it was just her eyes. There's been some other weird occurrences that we both experienced without telling one another, the most recent being that we both heard what sounded like a bead being dropped onto the floor in the middle of the night, with no explanation, on completely separate nights to one another. I considered posting this on Our Ghosts, as my sister is convinced that our house is haunted, and these are both paranormal phenomena, but I'm not as convinced. Whatever it is, it was weird, and I thought I'd post it here. Has anyone had any similar experiences? Or does anyone have any explanations on what this could be? Highway Hypnosis by No Communication 296. Hey all, this is my first post on Reddit, so bear with me. I was driving on I-15 in northern Utah around noon, so it was still very bright outside. It was empty, only one car in sight, and they were behind me. I glanced in my rearview mirror, noticing it was a bright orange Subaru Forester. I even made a comment to my coworker in the passenger seat about how much I liked the color. The Subaru turns on his blinker to pass me on my left, which he does. When he gets out of my blind spot, I notice it is now a silver Dodge Caliber passing me. No orange car in sight. Nobody else in sight. My coworker and I were both at a loss. Again, it was completely empty on this road. There was nobody else around. It was on a long stretch where there aren't any exits or entrances anywhere nearby. Is this a glitch? Or am I losing it? My dead fish appeared back in my tank, alive, by KRTY98. One of my fish got sick and died overnight 2 days ago. I removed him from the tank and put him in a separate tank so when he died the other fish wouldn't eat him and possibly catch what he had. I had 3 of these kind of fish in the tank including him. He was the smallest and was more maroon than the bright red of the other 2. After he died, I flushed him playing Amazing Grace and all that, then went to work. When I came home that night, he was back in my tank, looking just fine as always. I called my sister into the room and had her look at him. She knew that I flushed him this morning, since she was in the bathroom when I flushed him. Eventually, I went to bed, and in the morning he was gone again. My sister agrees that she saw him too. We all lost 45 minutes, and something wanted us to leave. By dansterdj. So we were driving down the road, and my friend suggests we go and check out this abandoned manor where many people were killed in the fire. It has an abandoned church on the grounds and is in the middle of nowhere. I agreed, and everyone else did as well, and we pulled into the country lane. And suddenly, all the trees looked off. They looked dead. We pulled into what we assumed was the gravel outside, and the time at this point was 10:10 at night when we stepped out of the car, and it was pitch black. This is where it gets weird. As we start walking down this country road path, or whatever it was, into where the manor grounds were located, my phone battery went onto battery saver mode. The flashlight would not turn on, and the phone battery showed 15%. Normally, I shake the phone and this activates the flashlight. This didn't work. Everyone's phones were doing the same thing, but we continued. Out of nowhere, and what had to be only a couple of minutes of walking, loud church bells started to ring. And I mean loud. Not from one location, but the sound of the bells surrounded us, and it sounded off, not like normal bells. Out of pitch. We all ran and scrambled to get into the car. At first the car wouldn't turn on. It may have been a minute or 2, but the car turned on and we sped off. We checked the time on our phones. In the car. My phone was working now. The battery was now 50%. The time was exactly 11 when we got into the car. Now in the UK, church bells don't go off before the hour. Where did the 45 minutes go? We were out of that car for a max of 5 minutes. No one would be ringing church bells. It was abandoned. I read somewhere that church bells ringing at night were used as a town alarm. For example, if there was a fire. I'm creeped out. Edit. All today I felt a massive urge to go back to this location. Like, I want to go back. I feel drawn to this location. Like someone or something wants me to go back at the same time. Edit 2. The more I think about this place from last night, the more familiar it feels. Like I've dreamt about it before in my mind. Really could do with some advice on this. Human.exe has stopped working. By Hexen. So, this just happened a couple of days ago. I'm a logical person, and I just assumed it was a coincidence, and I'm posting it here anyways because it was still pretty odd. Normally, I walk the same way to work every morning. I've gotten so used to the route that I don't even commit it to memory anymore. One moment I'm at home, and the next I'm at work. Well, one day, I decided to take a random deviation from the usual route. This time, I stopped halfway while crossing the same street and started walking down the median in the center until I got to the next block down. I walked from that point on to work. As I made my way to work, however, I noticed that a bunch of people I passed were acting weird. They were walking back and forth across streets, walking between the two entrances of stores, and some were just standing at the doors of their cars, staring at them. It was like my one decision to take a weirder, longer way to work caused the human AI of the town to break. I called one person out on it, and they looked at me as though I asked the weirdest question ever, and then started acting normal. My interaction with them seemed to snap them out of it.